welcome back to the Round 10 SuperCoach review with me, JD. You were joining me at a very frustrated point in my SuperCoach season. I scored 2350, which put me up 1,000 spots this week, but I should have scored, 24, 22 or something, which would have put me like a couple thousand spots higher than where I am. So yeah, like really annoying, and I'll show you why. I'll probably play the clip as well for those that haven't seen it. But as you can see down here, there's no E on Sam Hayes, who I've had an E on for a month straight. So on Jord's channel on a Friday, we quickly do like what our trades are, kind of like the last trades, the captain, vice captain setup, just so you guys can see exactly how our teams are set up leading into the weekend, because the trades can change during the week, especially with news. Like, we had Whitfield out during the week, whatever it may be. So we try and go through that. Now, when flicking through that quickly, I tried to, I did something like this where I like flicked it off and then flicked onto deconning, which will be in the clip, which I'm sure I will have played at this point. So you may not even be looking at what I'm looking at, but effectively in doing so, it stripped the emergency off Hayes without me even realizing. Now I saw the news of Bruce being a late out or whatever on the Saturday, like before the Hayes game, but with the kids and like a party there, I just didn't check my side. Why would I even have a reason to check my side? Hayes has been my emergency for a month straight. So anyway, I lost 72 points there, which is incredibly frustrating. Like, one of the things I was trying to be better at this year in my SuperCoach was just making sure I nailed all the emergencies, loopholes, did all that perfectly, because it's a really easy way to pick up a couple hundred points, which can be quite a big difference across the course of your season. And this one's annoying because it's not even one that like I stuffed up. It's just the way the game's designed, which is when you've got a fifth emergency, it takes it from the one that you had the longest. So each time I click an emergency, it's going to strip it off a different person, which is the one that had it the longest. So yeah, because like it's just not very intuitive game design. It's hopefully something they change at the end of this year. It's just awful. It's awful that the emergencies work like that. So yeah, so that's a bummer. The other bummer is Rory Thompson. So he was on 30 after about 5 minutes and then did his knee. He's going to be out for 6 to 12 weeks. So I feel really bad for him because he's missed a lot of football already off his ACLs. And I feel bad for my SuperCoach team. I mean, last week, traded in Hamilton, which was the best 3 rookies. He was gone. Traded in Thompson, who looked like he was going to be the best of the rookies. He was gone. So, yeah, that sucks, especially coming into buys where we need these people playing. So, picking guys that looked like they had good job security and they were going to score better, and just like punished so badly for it as well. So, yep, that sucks. Ended up holding Whitfield because McCartan scored well. So rather than taking Dacos's score, what did he score? And he would have been perfectly good hold through the buys. I think 65, so it was okay. It was only like 20 points. I thought I'd hold Whitfield. I can always see what he would do this week. And given what happened with Cogs, who I held, I was never really going to trade him, or never really planned to trade him. Optimistically, they put Whitfield into a good role as well. So yeah, I guess the good thing is I went Bailey Smith, which I think was my plan for pretty much all of last week. I was toying around with Brayshaw a little bit, decided to go with Baslanka just because I could take an extra mid-round buy, and it looked promising that he was going to get DPP, and I believe he played a fair bit of mid-time on the week. Sorry, a fair bit of forward time on the weekend, so he's all but guaranteed to get it. I think both him and Bontempelli have to play something like 100% midfield this week to not become forward eligible, so very highly likely that Dunkley, Bailey Smith, Bontempelli, English are like your top 4 forwards this year. All dogs, which is crazy, especially given they'll share the same buy. I also traded in Clark, who I ended up not fielding. Like if I'd had him over Martin, it was like 6 points. But anyway, Martin was unexpectedly bad. And I'm guessing he's got a massive break even now, 116. So he's someone that can definitely be traded, given that the week after this, he's got the bye, and a lot of people have got too many of those first round bye players. So rest of the team, I put the vice captaincy on Wits in the end, which is a pretty good call. It's just that Oliver was a 178. So anyone that picked him had a really good advantage. And then I got a small points up on those that had like McRae or Neil captain, but really not that big of a deal. Forward line was overall okay. DeGoey, I think that's what his 5th week in the team. That's the best score he's put up, an 82. Not having Cameron, not having Brody really hurt. Not having Sicily down back hurt as well. But I mean, to get in Sicily last week, I would have had to have traded Cogs. I'm glad I didn't do that. I would have been pretty torn up about that. So yeah, okay. So with and then like just rookies, I guess like McCartan and DeConning both went well, both scoring well. Depending on like how your team's going, the plan would be to hold these two for the next 2 weeks and then flip them at their bye. I think that's a pretty good plan. And then what Carroll was bad, Rioli Jr. bounced back. So out of Hamilton, Carroll, and Rioli Jr., things moved real quick in the space of a week. He now looks like he's the best of the 3 to have. That might swap again, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. Durden put up another good score, which is nice. He's making some money. The only problem is he's got just the one more game against Collingwood before his bye. So I think the plan would be hold him for this week. He's projected to make 20k more if he scores a 56. That's pretty achievable. And then you can trade him at his bye, 290k. That's pretty nice. McComb scored really, really good, and he's got West Coast this week. So, yeah, I mean, we just need 2 more games out of him. He'll get to his bye. You could probably move him on then as well. But if you've got all of McCartan, McComb, and DeConning, you're probably not moving on all 3. Although maybe you will. You do get the trades to do all 3 at their bye as well. Down back, yeah, Dawson was good. Crisp was good. Hewitt was really good. Short was good. Zorko was just okay. He could have put up a ton, but faded a bit in the 4th, and then he did get a couple of nice touches late. So he had a hand pass to Cameron that was ended up being a score assist, and then he had a goal with like a few seconds left that put them into 1 goal range, but didn't get a lot of scaling for either of those actions, which is a bit unfortunate. I was thinking it would have been low 90s. But yeah, no Sicily down back was probably the big thing. Although there were some other big scores, right? Didn't Sinclair or someone score huge? Was it Sinclair? 138, yeah. So no Sinclair hurts. I don't think he was the most owned. Like he's an incredibly highly owned defender, but what other big scores were there down back? I mean, Houston's not really owned. Whoa, he's in 12.6% of teams. What is this? Like Sinclair's only 16%. That's crazy. All right, so didn't have either of those. I don't think Houston's popularly owned in top teams, I guess. Yeah, Dawson's still actually a bit of a pod. I mean, Richards, who's a bit of a pod, had a good score too. And then yeah, no Sicily, that hurts. Stewart, like also highly owned, 122. Lots of good scores down defense this week. I mean, there was a lot of big scores around the board. I know 2350. There's in Discord we've had a lot of people go 2500. So just an okay score. Yeah, midfield, I think like Oliver was the standout. We saw Walsh be really good again, which has been a bit worrying for Cripps. This is 2 bad scores out of Cripps in a row. I know he's getting a little bit more attention now that, like, just given how well he played, he was basically best on ground for every game he played to the start of the year. But that's a little bit of concern. Collingwood haven't been the best against midfielders. Then he's got Essendon after the bye, so like I wouldn't see any like I just told him, but yep, that's annoying. And then Took had another down game. I didn't get to watch a ton of this, but apparently there was no particular reason. If you look at their fixture though, like Hawks, North, Adelaide, like lots of good opportunities for him to score in the coming few games. All right. So people to trade out. If you had Raul, he's got to go this week. If you got Martin, probably a good chance to get off him too. And then outside of those, most people are going to be looking for like another option. I think like someone like DeConning or Durden you could get rid of this week. So DeConning, even though he's got a low break even, I'll just chuck this back on, 43 break even, which should be easy for him to trot in more or less. And like his scoring's basically just, if you look at it, it's projecting up. He's getting better and better as the year goes on. And like Adelaide this week is probably a team that you could see another decent score on him. He's probably only got about 27, 28k more to make over the next 2 weeks against Crows and Dogs. So you could move him on now. You will miss out on some money, but you know, like if you run out of other people to trade out, then that seems reasonable. Who else is in the same boat? Like McCartan, I probably wouldn't just because he seems like a better on-field option. Richmond this week, which should be good points. But Melbourne during the buys, which isn't as good. I don't know, like McCartan versus Melbourne or DeConning versus Dogs. Neither of these are particularly great matchups in that first round. Otherwise, you could trade out Durden if you still had someone like a Durden. As I mentioned, like probably just 20k to make this week against Collingwood, and then you trade him anyway. So maybe he's the one you get rid of. I guess it just depends, because there's really only one downgrade option this week, and that's Luke Cleary in defense, 117k, so at a good price point, slightly discounted from the 124ks. He's played pretty well last 2 weeks, so 61.75, 68 average, plays West Coast this week, which isn't necessarily always the best for defenders, but you'd think it gives him a pretty safe floor. And the reality is we just want him to play 2 more weeks, get through that first bye, and then we're all good. And it's looking pretty likely with how he's playing, especially if he gets named this week. I can't imagine Dogs are going to struggle against West Coast, then I can't imagine they're going to drop too many people that get through that West Coast game. All right, so let's fiddle around with trades. Is there much else to talk about this week? I mean, really, it's just buys. And what I'm going to do is I'll show you the buy planner I'm using, which is Moira's Magic's in-season buy planner tool. It kind of does a lot of the stuff I would do on spreadsheet automatically, so it's pretty neat to show. And if it's something you're thinking about subscribing to next year, it gives you a good little preview of what some of those tools do and how useful they can be. All right, so Martin out for me, and then I've got to trade one of De Koning, Durden, or McCartan. They're the ones that probably have money on them. And I think what I want to do is be able to get McCartan into the forward line to play at F6, especially if I'm getting rid of Nick Martin. So I would go De Koning out, McCartan forward. I'll get Cleary in here. And then I've got 630k, which is a pretty nice amount. So I've got a few options here. The thing that would help my buys best is if I go a last round buy player. And that was originally going to be someone like a Brayshaw. But Brayshaw's still got money to lose and is someone I could get next week. So he's got 139 break even. Sorry, you can't see this. 139 break even coming into Melbourne this week. I can wait a week on that. And then outside of that, there really isn't anyone that has the last buy that I like as an option in the midfield. I mean, I've probably got like room to handle someone like a Walsh. I could bring in him this week. But yeah, it's looking very much like I'm going to be forced into a middle buy player. The other option is like I could always trade in someone like Whitfield into the midfield and then get like a last option. Like I could get like Sicily or something here, which I don't like paying up this much for anyone. If you've listened to me, like I didn't want to pay up for Stewart, Sicily gone, Steele, whoever it was at the top price, and for more or less this has worked out. Sicily's the one that has not worked out a lot, like based on the 1 week sample. But I don't like he's 115 average. It's just that he's got cracked 3 and 5 round average. So yeah, nuts. But yeah, I just can't justify paying that. I've still got a team to finish. So I think what I'm going to do is double down on the Dogs, playing into West Coast. Have both. So the plan is both Bailey Smith and Bontempelli get forward status. I'm going to get them into the forward line eventually. And then the last 2 mid spots here, I'll probably put in Zach Merritt after his bye. He's going to be very cheap. Where you at, Zach? So he's at 530k, 154 break even. One more game before Port. If he scores a 90, which is what he's projected, he goes to 503k. That's very cheap for Zach Merritt. And then I think the other one that probably makes sense just because it helps the buys, unless I get in another first round buy player like Walsh, is there someone like a Brayshaw who is going to get down to like what 540k next week. That's also very cheap for him. So those are probably the 2 that I'm looking at. We'll see. What are the other options here really? There's no cheaper mids that I like, and it's not like I can trade so I've got 1 boost left. It's not like I can trade Whitfield or anyone here to anything good. I could side swap someone like a Thompson out and fix up that rookie spot. because I know he's not going to play during the buys. There's no one to trade him to at the moment, and it's probably best I just wait until the buys, and when a rookie presents itself, trade down to him then. So this could be like where after his buy, who debuted for GWS on the weekend, after his buy, I could downgrade Thompson to where on the bubble or something like that. When I say downgrade, I'd make like whatever, like no money, but at least I've got a playing rookie for the round. All right, so I think these are my trades for this week. It means I'm basically committing to trading out, because if Bonham and Bailey Smith are coming in to these two spots next week, it means I'm committed to trading out like DeGoey at some point. If Hamilton doesn't play, then I can loop McCartan and Durden by doing that. Cleary, yep. Oh, and Thompson's a loophole for me, so I could loophole GWS. When do they play? So I could loophole Whitfield with Cleary. What does the world come to? Sad times. And then in the midfield, I guess like Clark probably just gets a straight emergency. Although, yeah, probably does. Even though McComb's playing West Coast and has scored well. I don't know. No, maybe McComb. And then what vice captain this week? So Witts plays Hawks, and Lynch got injured. So I like him as an option again. Any of the Dogs versus West Coast seems smart. Like, I don't know, Bont, Bailey Smith, Dunkley all have good ceilings. Took plays Hawks. You could get a bit of a bounce back game. What time when do my loopholes play? Who's the latest? Thompson. So I probably the West Coast game's only like 15 minutes before that. That's pretty frustrating. Okay, I have to figure out how that works. I mean, because yeah, that's bad. Oh, I guess like Neil against GWS probably isn't a bad shout. You should get a bounce back out of Neil into then like, I probably don't have confidence in putting the C on Wits. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure this out. It could be one of the demon players against Freo. It's just Freo's been pretty hard to score against. Cripps plays later. Probably hard to trust him now anyway. I don't know. We'll figure this out. We'll figure this out during the week. All right. So, well, what does this leave me in terms of upgrades on field? So Durden needs to be upgraded. So like this F6 spot is probably it, and then like then after that it's luxury upgrades. So I got one more upgrade and it's luxuries. So the luxury upgrades are going to be this D6. So Whitfield up to like Sicily, Stewart, Doherty, Sinclair, one of those four. Probably it'll be after the first buy just because it's going to help out the most. So it'll be Doherty or Sinclair, I'd imagine. In the midfield, I kind of talked about like I'll get two different midfielders instead of these two. So like a Zach Merritt and maybe, I don't know. I'd love this to be like Laird and Mills, even though Laird had an average game on the weekend. His fixture's like ridiculous. So yeah, like a Laird and Mills would be ideal, but I'm probably gonna have to get a discount option. Proust to Gorn or Darcy at the first buy is probably still going to be locked in. I just would have been really handy for Proust to keep playing just because I need him to keep making more money. Help me out there. And then, two of these are going to be going for Bont and Bailey Smith. So like DeGoey could go here when it's the middle buy or something like after the middle buy. And then, and then McCartan will be gone. Okay. So that's the team. Now, I promised I'd show you the buy planner that Moreau's Magic's got, it's really nice. I didn't ask if I could show this, but I figure they'll be cool with it because it doesn't actually, you can't lift anything from here. It's interactive, and if it's not your team in here, it's not going to help. And I guess like it's the thing is like, so I've got obviously the SuperCoach Gold buy planner, and this is really nice for a quick like visual, like roughly what does this look like? What does this look like? What does this look like? But the thing that I like about Moreau's Magic as well is firstly, it tallies the numbers of how many on field, and you can see my SuperCoach team numbers, not good. And then it lets you do some scenario planning. So at the moment, I've got this. Well, firstly, like once again, shows you who's out. But then I've also got like Rory Thompson selected here as don't include him in any of the games, where you can get like a false sense of security looking at this and going, oh, that's not too bad. But then you realize like, oh, Thompson doesn't play, and it's actually like terrible. The only thing I should talk about actually is like if Whitfield's sick this week, do I trade him? And the answer is like I will, yeah, definitely be trading him. Which then would change his trades. I'm gonna need to think about that scenario later. What would I do? Oh, well, figure that out later. Hopefully he's not sick again. Oh no, it was his ankle, right? That he's been struggling with. Not good. That's not good. Because I still had McCartan down there. Like, I'd once again on Friday night, I'd put the McCartan down there, see what his score is, and then depending on that, hold Whitfield again if McCartan continued to score well. But yeah, so you can see last buy is absolutely fine. I've got 21 out of a possible 22 playing before trades. 17, so this is bad. You want this to be at 19 or 20, and this is bad. You want this to be 19 or 20. Now, this is after I've put in the Bontempelli trade, which makes sense because like Bontempelli and Cleary are both this mid-round buy. And I traded out Nick Martin, who would have originally been in this spot as well. So yeah, this is planning like this saying Cooper Hamilton doesn't play either. So that's probably a bit of a worst case scenario. Hopefully he is playing by then. Oh, and you can do stuff here like put in trades as well, which is pretty nice. You can like add players or updates over the rounds. Okay, so yeah, so this is the downside of the Bontempelli Cleary trade. So to figure out if this is going to be okay, there's a few things. So firstly, like what trade do we do at round 12 next week? Yeah, because we're going into 11, so round 12 next week. All right. So how are we going to make this better? So I'm probably not trading Hewitt short. Like maybe Whitfield's gone this week if he doesn't play, and that helps. And then I can trade Rory Thompson here, which would be pretty important. Ideally, it would be to like around 14 rookie, I'm guessing. But if I can't get one, yeah, like it won't be around 13-1. So I just cop the loss here, like, yeah. And yeah, that'll be that. In the midfield, we're absolutely fine. We've got way too many playing in the first buy, which is the problem because then they're all gone the second buy. The ruck, so this is one spot where I'll sideways Bruce to either Darcy or Gone. So that gets me an extra one. That puts me up to 18. Maybe if I trade Thompson, that's 19. And the forward line, Durden's going to be gone. I know that for sure. So that, like, I think getting to 19 here looks pretty achievable. This one is going to be the one that's tricky. So Dawson and Cleary will stay. That's fine. Rory Thompson will go. For where? So that's 17. In the midfield, am I trading Greg Clark or McComb at this point? Maybe McComb's tradable here. And then I'm going to be trading McCartan. I have to make sure the Durden replacement is playing here as well. So this is like, it looks like it's possible for this to get to 19 as well, and then this will be fine. So this is how I'm roughly like planning at my buys, combination of this and this. Absolute best case is when you're actually like planning your trades as well with money. I'm kind of like just eyeballing it and going like, yeah, I should have enough money, it'll be fine, because McCartan and Durden both have money on them. McComb will have a fair bit by then as well. And Bruce to Gone doesn't look like it's going to cost much. And I'm going to be aiming for cheaper mids. So I think that's it. I think that's the team. Yeah, the only other option I have to like help with this middle buy is sidewaysing out some of these middle buy players. But I'm just not going to do it. Like, I'm bringing these in. So yeah, so Bont is obviously a risk, but he is going to continue to go up in price, and playing West Coast this week should slaughter them, even playing, you know, more forward. I want to get on him while he's kind of cheap, because 110 plus averaging forwards is going to be crazy. These are massive legs up over, someone having like 100 averaging forward. So yeah, Dunkley, Bont, Bailey Smith, Parker, probably my top 4 forwards, and then Botters and Cogs can potentially be held based on how they've gone the last couple of games. Otherwise, could trade them out to like an English or one of the other Dogs forwards. But yeah, that's the team. 15 trades left. We're going to be cutting it a little bit fine, right? Because I've got at least one more upgrade, one more 1 up, 1 down. So that takes me to 13. And then I've got 1, 2, 3 sideways as I want to do on top of that, which is probably going to cost like 5 trades total, I'm guessing. Because you don't need a fully cashed up rookie. Plus some rookie corrections during the buys. It probably takes it to 8, 10. I think I'm going to have 5 trades left with a full team. Or roughly full team is where I'm projecting at. I think I'd be, traveling a lot smoother if I didn't waste trades early on and having to get Martin or Hayes in, or if I'd started like Sicily or Brody. But them's the breaks. The fact that we're still closing in on top 10k despite such a bad starting team is good. I feel like most of my trade-ins have been pretty good this year, just been struck with some bad luck between how emergencies work or like injuries, whatever it may be. But yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Like I think we've been trading well, which is probably the pleasing part. Despite the very poor starting team. All right. Well, anyway, that's where I'm up to, what I'm considering. SuperCoach has decided not to work, so you're just getting a white screen now. But let me know what trades you're thinking of, what you're weighing up, how you're looking for the buys, and I'll try to chip in where I can. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.